Hey guys, I wanted to share some information for the people that have been impacted or affected by the recent fires here in LA, especially in the Palisades area and Altadena, Pasadena area. There are, this is a destruction like we haven't seen here in Southern California in a long time. And there's a lot of companies that have started cleanup efforts and they're not being considerate of identifying all the hazards that are present with this type of wildfire. I know that there's homeowners that want to get back in their home as soon as possible, and there's companies that are ready to just start cleaning and capture that revenue. Uh, it's very important for homeowners and for companies to identify all the hazards present with these fires. We have thousands and thousands of structures that have burned that were built in the 1900s that have tested positive for asbestos and lead, and vehicles that have burned, and chemicals that have burned. And along with the soot, char, and ash that has come into residences, it has brought in asbestos contamination and lead contamination. So it's important to have actual testing done beforehand and see what are the hazards that are affecting your property. It's not just that combustion byproduct, that soot, char, and ash contamination. We have 3 out of the last 10 properties that we had tested that came back positive with asbestos and lead contamination. When that happens, it is a different cleaning protocol than regular combustion byproduct. Now we're talking about potentially going through an abatement process, depending on what the levels are, and it changes what contents can be saved and cleaned versus what now needs to be replaced. So that can affect whether ductwork can be cleaned or needs to be replaced, the HVAC system, clothes, furniture, all your soft goods and textiles. It may affect whether your home can be cleaned in place or it needs a pack out. Now, for the homeowners, if you haven't had testing done and you've already had cleaning done, I would recommend that you do testing now. Have a clearance test done and make sure that you don't have any of those hazards in your property that's still there. So I would want to make sure that your home is safe for you and for your family. Just because it's been cleaned of all the visual debris doesn't mean that is to an acceptable standard for you to live in. It doesn't. You can't see asbestos with your naked eye. So because of all these properties again that have burned down, and because those properties did have asbestos and lead contamination, it was very reasonable to assume that that contamination came in with the soot, char, and ash. So I know most companies are testing for it. I know there's a lot of companies that have come into California and they're just trying to turn and burn these homes and make some revenue, and then they're gone. But as a homeowner, as a renter, an occupant, business owner, you need to understand if your property is healthy and safe for you, your occupants, your customers, your tenants to reside in, because I'm afraid that there's probably going to be significant lawsuits that will come out of this later on. When people start returning to their properties and they start talking to their neighbors, and one neighbor says, yeah, my property had asbestos and lead, and I had to, be displaced for quite some time, and my HVAC system got replaced, and my carpeting in my home got replaced, and the other neighbor says, what? Like, my guy didn't test for that at all, and he just vacuumed everything and gave everything a quick clean. And then that neighbor then goes and gets a clearance test and it fails and it comes back positive for asbestos and lead, and they've been living in that home for the last several months or years, right? That's going to be an issue. So please, if you are an occupant, make sure that the testing is done to protect yourself. If you are a contractor, make sure the testing is done to protect your employees and to protect your client. I hope this information helps. If anybody has any questions, feel free to comment in the video or reach out to our office.